And I'm here and I invite you to come join us in Vermont.
Yeah.
Well, I am sure that you are aware that Pennsylvania is today a very, very popular state. Everybody loves Pennsylvania today. Donald Trump is here, J.D. Vance is here, Elon Musk is, it's important. He's negotiating to purchase the state. He hasn't reached a final agreement. He's a tough negotiator, but he's ready to buy it one way or the other. President Biden is in Philadelphia talking to trade unionists.
Yeah.
So I think you probably all know why everybody is here. It's not only that we all love Pennsylvania, it may have just something to do with the fact that you have 19 electoral votes up for grabs.
Yes.
It may have something to do with the fact that the polls show this state is now nip and tuck a few points apart, and the likelihood is that whoever wins Pennsylvania will become the next president of the United States. So I am here today for a very simple request, and that is in the next week and a half, do everything you possibly can to make sure that Kamala Harris is our next president. That means, dragging your aunts and your uncles and your friends and your co-workers out to vote. As Pennsylvania goes, so goes America. As America goes, so goes the world.
Yes.
So you got a big responsibility on your shoulders here. So let's do it.
Thanks for your help.
I am not going to go on at great length about Donald Trump. Not worth it. But I do want to say, and I really want to speak not necessarily just to the people in this room, I think we're live streaming this, to people who may not have made up their minds. And what I want to say is, look, I don't care whether you're a progressive, I'm a progressive, many of you are progressive. I don't care if you are a conservative. I want you to think about something. And think about how it happens that somebody like Mike Pence, a very conservative Republican, who served at Trump's side for 4 years, who knows him probably as well politically as anybody in America. Mike Pence knows Donald Trump. He is not supporting Donald Trump.
Yeah.
John Kelly was Trump's chief of staff. Chief of staff is your main guy. John Kelly, chief of staff, former chief of staff for Donald Trump, is not supporting his election effort.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney, who was the 2012 Republican candidate for president of the United States. Now, Mitt's on the same committee as I am. We disagree on everything. But Mitt has moral values, religious values. He knows Donald Trump. He is not supporting Donald Trump. Ms. Cheney, one of the most conservative members of the House, again, somebody who I and many of you on policy issues have nothing in common except one thing. She believes in democracy and the rule of law, so do we. And she is not supporting Donald Trump. And I would ask my conservative friends, and I do have conservative friends, who are honest, we disagree on policy, to think hard why it is that so many conservative Republicans are not supporting Donald Trump. And the answer is they understand that he is a pathological liar.
That's right.
He lies all of the time. That he gets up and gives speeches that are very, very weird, to say the least. And that he is not morally fit to be president of the United States. That's what they understand. So their disagreement with him is not necessarily over policy issues, but it's really over temperament and character. And I want to say something to parents. I've got 4 kids, older kids, and 7 grandchildren, including some younger ones. And I want my conservative friends out there really to think hard. You know, as we try to raise kids, and raising kids in today's day and age ain't easy. You try to raise your kids, doesn't matter what your politics are, you try to raise your kids to be honest, not to lie, not to be a bully, not to pick on people because they may be a little bit different than other folks. Do you really want, as an example for our children, somebody like Trump who lies all the time and who is a bully? I think not. But it's not just, you know, it's not just Trump's character and temperament. On some very important issues, he is dead wrong. Look, women have struggled for decades, since the inception of this country, to become first-class citizens. All right? Not so many years ago, if you could believe it, it's true. Not so many years ago, in the United States Senate, 100 members of the Senate, there were 98 men and 2 women. You know, very few governors, members of legislatures were women. Women struggled politically to get equal say. Economically, women could not have many jobs throughout the idea, you know, 40 or 50 years ago, a woman being a police officer, a firefighter, a construction worker, that's not women's work. In the military, not women's work. Women fought with their male allies to break down all of those barriers. And maybe the most important barrier that we succeeded in breaking down was finally saying that it is women, not the government, who have a right to control their own bodies. And Donald Trump goes around the country boasting, proudly, he appointed 3 right-wing Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And there's another issue that is not being talked about enough in this campaign, and that is the entire scientific community understands that climate change is real.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell anybody what we saw in Florida a few weeks ago, in North Carolina, my own state of Vermont, the forest fires we see in the West Coast, the heat waves in Europe, the flooding in China, the 120-degree temperature, Saudi Arabia killing people. Climate change is real. It's an existential threat to the planet. Donald Trump believes, it's sad to say the truth, that climate change is a hoax.
He's a hoax.
What does that mean? It means that if Trump becomes president, the fight and the United States withdraws from the struggle against climate change, China will do the same, Europe will do the same, and it's over. So you tell your kids that the planet that we're going to be leaving them will in fact become increasingly unhealthy and uninhabitable. That's wrong. And that's just one more reason why Trump must be defeated. And I don't want to go on for 6 hours, I'm going to give you one more. We are living in a nation today, and we don't talk about this very much, of more income and wealth inequality than has ever existed in the history of the United States. You got 3 people, you got 3 people, Elon Musk and a couple of others, who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Rich are getting much richer, 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. And Donald Trump, a billionaire, has the great idea that we should give more tax breaks to billionaires. But I'm not here to talk about Trump. I just wanted to drop his name in case you were curious. I want to say this, and I think we haven't discussed this enough as well. Look, I am an independent, the longest serving independent in the history of the United States. So I'm not here to tell you that the Democrats are doing all that they should to protect working people. That's not true. But they're doing a hell of a lot more than the Republicans. That's the truth. Very briefly, sometimes we have short memories. You'll remember 4 years ago during COVID when the people were fleeing into hospitals, overrunning hospitals. And Trump had done a disastrous job on COVID. and we had this massive economic downturn, people were not going to work. Well, guess what? Without any Republican support, in Biden's tenure, in early 21, we passed the American Rescue Plan. Remember?
Yep.
You know what that was about? You kind of forget about it. I'll never forget, as long as I live. I live in a middle-class neighborhood in Burlington. There were hundreds of cars lined up. They shut down a road. Hundreds of cars lined up for people who never in a million years thought they would be in that position, getting emergency food shipments from the Vermont National Guard. And that was taking place all over this country, right? People worried, how am I going to feed my kid? How do I protect myself from this terrible disease? Well, we passed the American Rescue Plan, and that put $1,400 in every working class pocket in America.
Yep.
We passed a new child tax credit for working parents. Remember that? You know what that did? That lowered the childhood poverty rate in America at that point by over 40%. We extended and improved unemployment